"Fire her! Fire her immediately!" The words were a sharp hiss into Mr. Collins's lapel mic, barely audible over the hum of the grand ballroom. His eyes were locked on the tall black maid who had just stepped into the center of the room, uninvited, unannounced, and was speaking directly to the millionaire guest of honor. It was supposed to be the perfect night. Every second planned, every detail rehearsed. And yet in the space of 10 heartbeats, everything had gone wrong. The translator was missing. The hotel's manager was panicking. And now, the maid was talking to the billionaire in perfect Mandarin. The grand chandelier cast its golden glow over crystal glasses and whispered deals. The city's elite had gathered for one reason: to impress the man who could change their fortunes overnight. Mr. Zhao, a Chinese real estate tycoon, entered with quiet authority. But there was a problem. He spoke no English, and the translator was missing. The hotel manager's polished confidence cracked, panic flashing across his face. Conversations stalled, glasses paused mid-air. Just as the moment threatened to collapse, into embarrassment, a quiet figure in a crisp maid's uniform stepped forward and spoke flawless Mandarin. The room held its breath. The evening had been planned with military precision. The hotel's top-floor ballroom gleamed, every table dressed in pristine linen, every floral arrangement imported from Holland. This was not an ordinary event. It was the city's most powerful gathering of investors, politicians, and visionaries. At the center of it all was Mr. Collins, the hotel's general manager, a man known for his control, his charm, and his unshakable composure. For weeks, Collins had worked to secure this night. The arrival of Mr. Zhao was more than a business opportunity. It was a chance to elevate the hotel's reputation on a global scale. Zhao's investment could bring in millions, reshaping the skyline and attracting international attention. But there was one challenge. Mr. Zhao spoke only Mandarin. Collins had anticipated it, hiring a skilled interpreter for the evening. He rehearsed every introduction, every transition, every toast. Everything was ready. The guests began arriving, their voices blending into a hum of anticipation. The pianist played softly in the corner. Waiters moved gracefully between tables, silver trays balanced in steady hands. Among them was Amina, a maid with a quiet presence, her uniform crisp, her movements efficient and unobtrusive. She was part of the background, unseen yet essential. Then the moment arrived. The grand doors opened and Mr. Zhao stepped in. All eyes followed him as he made his way to Collins. Cameras clicked. Smiles widened. Collins stepped forward, ready to begin the night, and then froze. Mr. Zhao greeted him in rapid Mandarin. The translator was nowhere to be found. It began as a flicker of confusion on Collins's face. His rehearsed smile faltered. He glanced over his shoulder, scanning the crowd. The translator should have been at his side, yet there was no sign. His heart rate quickened. Mr. Zhao continued speaking, his tone polite but expectant. Collins nodded stiffly, his mind racing. Should he excuse himself? Stall for time? Ask someone. Anyone. If they spoke Mandarin? The guests closest to them began noticing the awkward pause. A ripple of discomfort spread. Collins knew the stakes. In the world of high-net-worth investors, first impressions were not just important. They were everything. A misunderstanding here could cost him the entire deal. He tried to bridge the gap with a few hesitant words, but Zhao's expression remained politely blank. The pianist's melody seemed louder now, filling the silence that Collins couldn't. The air in the room grew thick. Guests leaned in, sensing that something was amiss. Collins swallowed hard, scanning the room for a miracle. And then it happened. From the far side of the ballroom, Amina set down her silver tray. She moved with quiet confidence, her posture straight, her steps deliberate. Without hesitation, she approached the two men, Her voice was calm, clear, and in perfect Mandarin. It was not just functional Mandarin. It was fluid, melodic, the kind that only came from years of immersion. Mr. Zhao's eyes widened, and then his entire expression shifted to delight. He replied immediately, his words flowing faster now, as if greeting an old friend. Amina listened, intently nodding, her hands folded neatly in front of her. She translated Zhao's greeting to Collins, explaining his gratitude for the evening's invitation and his curiosity about the hotel's history. Collins blinked, trying to process what had just happened. The tension in his shoulders eased, replaced by disbelief. The murmurs around the room quieted as people realized what they were witnessing. The maid, the woman they had barely noticed, was now holding the most important conversation in the room. Over the next hour, Amina moved seamlessly between Zhao and the guests, translating jokes, answering questions, and guiding interactions. The atmosphere shifted. What had begun as a potential disaster turned into a warm, lively exchange. Zhao's comfort grew with every minute, his laughter echoing through the hall. But the real surprise wasn't just her language skills. It was the way she carried herself, with intelligence, grace, and an ease that made even the most intimidating guests relax. It was as if she belonged there all along. The evening's highlight came during the investors' toast. Collins, now fully recovered from his earlier panic, introduced Zhao to the assembled crowd. Zhao responded, speaking at length in Mandarin. His voice was deep, measured, and carried the weight of someone used to commanding attention. As he spoke, Amina stood beside him, translating every word with precision. Her tone matched his, dignified yet warm. She captured not just the meaning, but the rhythm, the emotion, the subtle humor tucked between phrases. Zhao spoke of trust, of the value of human connection, and of how first impressions could define entire relationships. He praised the hotel, the city, and to Collins's astonishment, Amina herself. She, Zhao said through Amina's translation, is the reason this evening succeeded. The room erupted in applause. Cameras flashed, capturing the image of the maid who had saved the night. Some guests looked at her with newfound respect, others with curiosity, wondering how they had never noticed her before. Collins felt a mixture of gratitude and humility. In all his years of managing high-profile events, he had never imagined that the most valuable person in the room might be someone the staff barely acknowledged beyond her duties. Zhao concluded his speech with a promise to invest, not just because of the hotel's beauty or the city's potential, but because of the warmth and capability he had experienced firsthand. The moment sealed the deal. After the guests departed and the ballroom began to empty, Collins approached Amina. The applause had faded, but the weight of the evening still lingered in the air. He thanked her sincerely, knowing that thank you felt inadequate. Amina simply nodded, her smile calm. She explained that she had once studied in Beijing, where she worked for several years before moving abroad. Life had taken unexpected turns, and she had taken the hotel job to support her family. She had never thought her Mandarin would matter here. But tonight, everything had changed. News of the event spread quickly among the city's business circles. The story of the maid who spoke perfect Mandarin became a talking point, a quiet legend among those who valued sharp minds hidden in plain sight. For Collins, it was a lesson he would never forget. He realized that the true strength of any institution wasn't in its chandeliers, its polished floors, or its grand events, but in the people who made it run. And for Amina, the night was a reminder that every skill, every experience has its moment to shine. Sometimes, the most extraordinary people are the ones no one sees coming.